Okay, so in the middle of the Shaila, so after having gone to great lengths, as it were, to prove, in quotations, that the creative power invested mamish in creation is dovok b'mekoirei, is not separate. In the end, the final indication was because of the infinite properties of nature itself, the obligable properties of nature itself. Then why are we saying this contradicts what we had said earlier? The simple fact, if it's dovok b'mekoirei, how can it be at once the creative force attached to the source? And that means by definition, it reveals the source. That means by definition that anything you will produce will also reveal the source. Okay, that last two sentences I said must be crystal clear. Otherwise, the whole Maimer we don't have the foundation of. So therefore, Yesh Ma'ayin by definition can only be created by that which is separate, thus giving a sense of separation. At least, if not truly separate, but in the words of the Maimer, K'moy Dovar Nivdal, like something separate, the source must be a sense of separation from its own source to create that which feels independent. But we're insisting here and proving that no, the Pashut you can see in Seichel, it's Begoldui here that the creative force is Dovak B'mkaira because it's infinite. Then it can't create an independent being. If the question rephrased really is, how is it that creation is at once has a sense of independence? That points to what? That the source is overtly not connected, at least overtly. At the same time, creation itself carries, and this is observable to the naked eye, an infinite property which reveals the infinite creator. How can it be at the same time both? How can you have Oyer and Chayis at the same time? And Holokai means both. And that's the whole Nakuda the Maim is going to explain. My hearing is almost zero today. It's very bad.
What's something that shows create like the art? What's just a simple example? What, like the heaven and earth?
Example of Oyer.
You said that there's an example, like something that shows the concept.
Because the infinite properties, the Kayam Be'ish, Kayam Be'mino, the previous us, that show the infinite properties, unchanging, unweakening, undiminishing properties of creation. They express a patently infinite energy in them. That's Dovik B'mkaira. They say there's a God. These properties point to a God because a finite entity should weaken over time. Creation doesn't. It reproduces endlessly with the same intensity, and then the celestial beings are unchanging. So they say there's a God. Yet for them to, but they also have a sense of independence. That's a contradiction. They say there's a God, but they feel independent. So that's mitzvah dinyan of what? The independent sense is because the creative force is not Oyer, it's Chayis. Yet it is Oyer because it's expressing in creation infinite properties, contrary to the nature of nature itself, pointing to the creator. How is it at once, all at once, this simultaneous? In Indian, we're not just asking, we walk around contradictions all the time. It's another contradiction. But he's asking in Indian, tissues. In Indian, in the shul, in Indian means what is this creative force? How can it be at once be a creative force that reveals and at once conceals? Gentlemen, if you didn't hear that, we're lost. We're totally lost. You have to spew this back at me very clearly. I just summarized the question in one sentence. Let's hear it. And I just said this seconds ago.
The creative force reveals and conceals at the same time.
And the whole Maimon is proved that it must be revelation and it must be concealment. Can't have it both ways. Where's the reveal aspect? Where do we see that? Was he just said where?
Expressions of infiniteness.
You see that partial in nature. You don't have to be a scientist. Where's the concealing aspect? Huh?
Sense of independence.
It cannot create that which reveals, cannot create that which conceals. Simple as that. That's the shaila. Not going to be a neat answer, but it's going to be an answer. He's an answer. Gewalt. Okay, we're in the middle of the question. Oy Zion. We're in the middle of Oy Zion. Let's start from the beginning. Just get the flow. In light of the above, after having proven chapter after chapter, offering suggested indications that it's dovuk and rejecting them, and finally coming to the final indication, which is that the creative force that produces Elam Haza and Biyah in general, but Elam Haza specifically, is dovuk because of the infinite properties in nature itself, mamish. Sorry, we have to understand. So where is the virtue of koyach, which is separate? And there's the virtue in koyach, because only a separate force from its source can create separation. Hischachus, novelty. The question is that here is, it says in the words here, being an hischachus. Let's pare it down simply. Answer my questions, please. Does light affect a change? No. This room, dark or light, is the same room. Does a koyach affect a change? Yeah. If I move the chairs, it's changed. If I walk in here with a hammer and smash the wall, there's a change. Or it's using your example, if I take a stone and I throw it against the wall, walk out and make a mark, and there's a change. Every koyach is going to make a change. Hischachus. Hischachus. What's hischachus he's talking about here? Please answer the question. Yeshmai, the biggest hischachus. All it does, he says, there is a God and there's nothing else. Beautiful. Koyach says, there's a God, but hey, guess what? There's creation. Don't ask me to explain how, but there's creation. Hischachus. Koyach produces, can't produce hischachus. It's a lie. He says, what is chachus? When is chachus? There's only God. Nothing new, nothing novel, nothing else. Koyach, which is separate from the source, can create a sense of there is something novel. Now, how can that creative force be both koyach and oir? So he's asking. Clear? Huh? Good. So you could say God could do anything. That's the end of the. But the whole point of the Maimon is what? What? The whole point of Chabad Chassidus is what? The whole point of the Vishas Kavan is what? That. Why should we understand? Who gives a hoot whether we understand or not? God does. What? I don't, but he does. What?
He wants.
Why does he want it? Not to make. No, it's not a means for an end. You're not to make. You are the dira. You're not a means for an end. Now, why he wants a relationship with you and me remains forever. B'chiras ha'atzmos, a mystery that is beyond rationale. That's what he wants. Finished. So we got to understand that we can't just say, well, God can do anything and that's it, and have a coffee and we'll go sailing. No, we have to understand. Huh? Now's not the weather for sailing.
No. I think we should bring the coffee thing to the table. It wasn't even that deep. I felt like we needed the coffee thing right here.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Why not? That's all point. It's portable.
Get up to get her second.
Huh?
Go home to get up to get her second coffee.
Right. So let's do that. Good idea. Huh?
It is in charge of the coffee.
You know what we should do? Just put it on the side on a little table, so there's enough construction going on this table. I'll be sitting in a little box prison. Maybe if I did this.
That's fine. It's fine.
No, it's. I did. Maybe we need it all together, but this.
No.
That's not bad. Hey, so Adam Chadash is Chadshus.
Now it's the way it's like on your shirt.
Shirt. The white shirt just got whiter. Good.
Now you're kind of up.
Okay.
Oil, by the way, oil could damage in a certain way.
Can't hear anything. But what?
I says oil could make a change in a certain way according to your muscle. You have a light shining on something; it'll burn away it'll burn away the material that's in front of it.
It's already oil like koyach. I'm saying the oil.
The light burns.
Enough,
did you say?
The light is strong enough; it can burn.
So that's not the unit of oil. That's Aish. That's already
Okay.
fire. That's not the property of oil.
Okay.
All right. So let's continue. And again, how can the oil, which says there's only Eibishter, have the mile of Yischachus that says, there's a creation too. Lo and behold, Bereshis bara. There's something else. How can it say there's only God and say also there's something else? It's another way of rephrasing the question, right? He elaborates. In his barely, we said before in the Maim of Rosh Hashanah. We explained in the Maimer. It's so beautiful that Rebbe, continues the Maimer to us with the expectation and hope that we're with him. We've learned it, we remembered it. I would have to say, if the Rebbe's Maimor and everything was reciprocal on our interest and involvement. Not sure how in Lubavitch, Shilim and the Tmimim and the Kosach lived in the Maimer. You have to read the descriptions of after a Maimer of the Rebbe Rashab, how they lived with it, Schlaf and Tag and Nacht. What?
I don't agree. I don't.
You don't agree?
I don't agree.
But, okay, yeah, I'm
We
talking.
must have lived with it. The whole world has changed.
What?
We must have lived with it. The whole world has changed. We didn't live with it in the completely mentally.
We lived with it. Listen, I
it seep in.
was there. I didn't even. I was there. I wasn't the top. It was the top Bachim, but still. The Hasidic fraternity. Listen, that's wonderful. The Rebbe didn't reckon with our interest or lack thereof. Just kept on pouring. Not.
Did he complain about it?
Huh?
Didn't he complain about it?
What?
That the Rebbe complained about it, no?
He did. Yes, he did often. He did. The Maimah, the Rashi. There were many times that he. Yeah.
Now it's up to us now.
Now it's up to us now. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. In his earlier, we said before in the Maim of Rosh Hashanah, we explained the difference. By definition, reveals is an output of God that is in no way separate from him and reveals the truth that there is a God and nothing else. Just like the light itself is nothing novel, all it is the expression of the source, not something else. So when the light is revealed, what message does it carry? It's not, doesn't carry any new anything novel or new or change. When Hashem reveals himself and we call it Oyer, what's he revealing? That there's an Eibishter and nothing else, no change. And that's wonderful. However, God wanted a change. He wanted to create the Shemayim V'Aretz. So his Oyer revelation won't do that. And here is the mile of an energy that comes from the Eibishter that's not that does not scream or say, doesn't scream, is very polite, say that there's only Eibishter. Koyach is unlike that, because to give and Koyach is a revelation which is not traceable to the source. You have a question? You do have a question?
Not formulated.
Not forming yet. Okay. I think I know what you're asking. I'm going to explain it in a second. We'll say it right now. No one is suggesting that Koyach, I mean, Tzorich Iyun Godel, it sounded like in the beginning of the Maimer he was, namely, that maybe the Koyach is separate, period, fundamentally separate. Bemis, he did speak that way in the Maimer, because he counted with Lesasar Ponimine. There's no place void of him, which means that the Havamina was, there is. But here, frankly, okay, in Noy Zion, the word Kamoy, you're not, so if we're going to, whatever, this Tzorich Ian Godel and big Maskilim and Oivdim, but L'choire, we could say that even if it's Kamoy like separate, we still have a question. Because in creation, you see the infinite. So there is a revelation in creation. In order to create, however, a separate being, it has to be completely concealed, untraceable. So how can God be both traceable and untraceable? I'm saying the question now in different words, but the same question. In order to produce, Yesh Mind's got to be untraceable. But we proved that it's Dovuk and therefore it's traceable, and you see the Begashim is in the infinite properties. So we're left puzzled. So let's learn a weiter. Still part of the question. So here's the mile of Koyach Lagaber, the Kivin Shakoyach B'chinas Helim She'ene Bedveikos. Koyach is a divine energy which is concealed and not dveikos. Attached means, again, not traceable. Here's the words Kamoy I didn't say before. So just funny. It's like completely separate from its source. Again, There's something novel. That's the mila of Koyach, that it produces something novel. That's what God wants. He wants a creation. And therefore it produces something novel, which is a Bria Yesh Ma'ayin. He was speaking Begashmis, right? Koyach Begashmi just reveals what's in the room. Koyach makes a change. Now he translates it back Lamaila. What's the big news? A creation, something from nothing. To create out of nothing, only the Eibishter can do. Quoting now from Tanya, which he quoted earlier in the previous Maimah, to create something out of nothing, only God Atzmos can do, because again, a creative force can only produce that which is like it. Since reveals there's a God, whatever it's going to create is going to reveal that truth. Whatever it produces is going to reveal that. Only the Eibishter, who doesn't have a source, can create that which feels it doesn't have a source. In the words of the Alter Rebbe in Tanya, the kiven shemitziusei hu mayatzmusoi, since the Eibishter's being is not from anything else, but from his own being, the Eino Olol is not a consequence, is not a result, either from some cause, that God forbid preceded him. It's always wondered why you say the word chas v'shalom. Tzarich also. I'd love to have addressed anywhere. No, it's an impossibility. It's a chas v'shalom, and it's something which is fundamentally impossible.
We should even think that. We should entertain the concept.
Chas v'shalom, you should think that. It's not the pshat. Pshat is like it's a real chas v'shalom. Chas v'shalom. It's like saying the Eibusher shouldn't exist. Chas v'shalom. Chas v'shalom. If you're talking, there's a God. I mean, it's not a possibility. Tzarich. And mind you, if better kasha, if there is a cause that produced him, well, that's God. That's it. You're worshiping the wrong one. So go to the cause. So where's the room for chas v'shalom? But that's the Lashon in Alter Rebbe, and always brought in Chassidus. Tzarich. At time, I would discuss it with people. Maybe throw it out there to see what they say. So I'll continue the quote in Tanya from Perek Lamed Hey. No, this is Geras HaKodesh, Simachov. L'chein hu levad, sorry. Lamed Hey is Chachma. L'chein hu levad bekoichem yicholte livrei yesh mayin, because he has no cause that precedes him, therefore only he alone as bekoiche v'yicholte livrei yesh ma'ayin, to create something from yesh something. Me'ayin ve'efes ha'muchlet mamish, from absolute nothingness. Now only Atzmos can do that. He can create something out of nothing that doesn't feel it, that's not traceable, because he's not traceable to anything, because he is. What conveys the I am that I am? It's a separate koyach, not which says there is him. So that's why that I am of God can create that I am of creation. So how can we at once be I am that I am, and then Dovuk b'Mekayrei? It's Dovuk, which is the property of Oir. Friend, a sixth thought, I don't know how many times we're rephrasing the question, but it's all the same thing. Another way to rephrase the question is, how can creation be both Inyan Atzmi and Giluyim? You didn't hear what I just said? Inyan Atzmi, Atzmos is Yeshma'ayin. Giluy is, you're saying it's Oir, but Oir, Etzem, worlds apart. Bemes. Worlds apart in the sense that Oir is Dovuk, can sticks to the party line. There's only God. And Atzmos can write a new narrative. There's a creation. So you can't be party line and novel at the same time, a revolutionary and party line. At the same time. Huh?
Saying here that.
Sorry, dear, you got to
say here that koyach that yesh me'ayin is a gilui atzmos. It seems almost like that. So if it's koyach itself is a gilui, once you go logically say yesh me'ayin has to be koyach atzmos. So koyach is megala atzmos, but it's also,
it's not megala. You don't feel atzmos. It's expression of atzmos. You don't feel. The whole point is you feel independent. Koyach produces a yesh who says there is only me. René, a good friend, René Descartes, who said the truest thing possible. I think, therefore I am. That's all I know. Ultimate yeshes.
This ship is then megala koyach atzmos. It
doesn't mean to us. It means the expression.
Right.
That's the whole point. Yesh ma'ayin, we don't feel.
But once we intellectually get it, then, or once we intellectually trace that concept back, and you're left with no other explanation for yesh me'ayin, that itself is a gilui atzmos once you accept that yesh ma'ayin has to come by atzmos. Yesh ma'ayin itself, it seems to be a gilui atzmos. So then the question becomes, I mean, I'm asking, is the question then just in kayach, not even in anymore? Kayach is at once being the God and also we must it.
So again, bimagala atzmos is the objective truth. It's really atzmos, but the reality is it completely conceals atzmos. We walk around here with a sense of independence completely. Our hergish, even if you know it in your head, our hergish, oir produces that which in its hergish, not the unfaith, not learn and prove. Hergish feels connected, and we do not feel connected. We're going to find that out, discover it.
Yeah, but if
and it's not traceable. Atzmos again is not traceable.
It's not traceable, but if for a moment you stop to think about it and you say, okay, I want to intellectualize the sense of independence, and I know that the world is created as something that comes from something. So I keep tracking back, which is how we end up here. We keep going back and back and back until I find the something, until I get to a point where I can't find the something that comes before the last something. So the absence of a source becomes a revelation of Atzmos. Is that what you're saying?
I'm asking.
Yeah, you know what I mean? The absence of the last source, because our independence is contingent on this idea that we can find the source that originates the thing that we're interested in.
It's not absence of the last source, it's the absence of the first.
We're working backwards from where we are.
The whole point is that there's nothing.
Yeah. So even the notion to get to, like when we say this is a concept you cannot grasp, that's where we end. I cannot grasp this.
Even granted, you can intellectually come to a conclusion that there's got to be a beginning, and the beginning has to be yesh ma'ayin. But the point is the hergish. You still do not feel creation at all, the constant creation. And oil will produce that which feels the source. You don't intellectualize it and prove it and come, well, there's got to be a God, but that's not feeling God. The sense in Olam Hazeh is we do not feel God. And oil will produce that which does feel God. So how can the koyach be dovuk? The whole point is, no, God wants to create something. It doesn't feel him. And now you're telling me that it's dovuk, then we ought to feel him. And yet we don't. Rephrasing the question from different perspectives, the same question. Let's conclude the question. By the number 25, the Inyan Zebob in the text, this ability to create yesh ma'ayin with the resultant creation does not feel its source at all. That is to say, hischachos. That's only when God creates mitzad atzmos, which is expressed in koyach, not in oil, because oil will betray. Oil will betray the truth that there is a God and will never produce the shtik yesh that we are. Even though in our head we say, yeah, creation, atzmos, and it's true. But we're not feeling that. We're not feeling that. You wake up in the morning, you got to go to the toilet. That's what you feel. Notwithstanding, you say, Meida Ani Lifanechon, Atzmos, there's no Abish's name, and all that is true. And you believe it sincerely, and you understand it also. God, there's a God. I mean, it's got to be an original point that has no beginning, it creates from nothing. That's not the Hergish. Which is why we have to be reminded of this truth 100 times a day. Shema 3 times a day, davening every 5 minutes. Whoa, there's an Abish to hang on. Don't get so excited. Constant reminders. Beheld him. And yet we're saying it's dovuk. So again, that's the question. Let's conclude the ois. So that's the mile of koyach, which draws on atmos. It's not gilu, it's not oil, and it comes in a way that appears to be separate and produces therefore a sense of separation. As you said before, that's the mile. Koyach reveals atmos, or reveals an expression of atmos. So, but yet we've said the whole Maimed, the Rosh Hashanah, Shagam HaKeich HaPel, David B'Mkoiroi, the mile of Oir and Etzem, the mile of Ispashtus and Atzmus. You can't have both, Etzem or Gilui. No, it's both. The Keich HaPel is Dovuk. Tzarich Lahavin, we have to understand, Eich Yesh B'Keich HaIschatshus, if it's how will a revelation produce this novel otherness? The Yosef B'chinas Helem, Ischatshus, is something which is produced by that which is overtly concealed or not the source. Huh?
When he says Kayach HaPoel, David B'Mkoir, is that the Kayach that we've been talking about till now?
No, the creative force. How can the creative force, Koyach, be both Oyer and Koyach? The language can be confusing. So now the conclusion, we're going to conclude here, friends, and you're going to have to think about this further. Others will never. How is it possible that the creative force should have these two contrary and opposite properties or truths? It's attached, reveals that there is a God. And it's also etzem, it's Indian atzmi, which it means revelation is concealed and produces something novel. There's friends who have encountered this. Etzem bilti mizgala. Essence, by definition, cannot be revealed. And here we're saying it is. It's both oir and etzem. Okay? We're doing our best, friends. We're grappling with this, each one at their level. God is pleased, trying to understand me. I want you to know me. Okay? We're in it, being in it. That's it. Wie viel mehr versteht, it depends on each one. But the fact that we are immersed and we're grappling, trying to understand, and we're thinking about the Eibishter, his koyach, his oir, that's what he wants. That's what the mind is filled with. And I'm looking ahead at the answer. We thought the question was difficult. The answer is even more sublime.